Man, did I mess up. I completely forgot about week 11 and 12, and I thought I was actually caught up, but I'm not. And so I'm gonna mix them in together in this one video and try to make it as fast and informative as possible. So see you guys in a few seconds.
They know the debate was suicide. Too deep when I ride. Ruby getting out for the pills that I supply. The screws are bound, flat tires in a 06 Chevy. Looking like
all right, guys, so let's talk about week 10, I think it is. Yeah, week 10, when we first start backend and what happened to us. So week 10, we got our first introductory to NodeJS and ExpressJS. And pretty much what ExpressJS does is it gives you a way to kind of interact with Node in the same way that jQuery or React would interact with the front end. So it makes it a lot simpler and makes your code just kind of go a lot smoother and easier to understand. I personally love it and don't ever want to do anything without it. So I love everything that it does. Node and Express, awesome. No wonder it's on every stack. It belongs there. We got to pretty much learn how to do API calls from there. They had their own servers and stuff that they've already set up for us. So what we had to do was just create RESTful APIs that would get that information from the database, and you would do GET requests, and they pretty much showed us how to effectively use Postman, which is a cool little app that kind of just helps you interact with SQL data in a very understandable GUI way, as they like to call it, the GUI, so user interfaces, instead of having to type in SQL commands in order to get everything, because SQL, it's a very simple language, but it can get a little complex, especially when you're trying to do things like joining tables and everything else. But it's definitely good to know in order to be able to properly interact with the data. So that's what we went through the first week. Now the second week, which is week I want to say 11, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 11. What we did for that is now we had to do our own database. So we had to take all that information from that first portion where we were dealing with a pre-made database and do the same thing, but adding our own databases that we make ourselves. And so that was really fun, a lot more fun than I thought it was. In all honesty, when people started mentioning databases, my eyes would roll to the back of my head because I never really cared for them. But keep in mind that if you want to do a full stack application from beginning to end, this is one of those things that you have to know. You have to know how to interact with data, because chances are that your website is going to take in some form of data, whether it's a user login or something. It's going to take that data in, and you need to know how to manipulate that and where to store it, how to store it, and all that good stuff. So it became really interesting when we got more into it and we got to use NextJS. So NextJS, a brief introductory to it, what it does is it lets you use JavaScript in order to do SQL commands and SQL type of operations. So essentially you can prepend like a table into your SQL file using Next, and then using a migration file, you can kind of tell it what fields you want it to go in there. You can give it strict requirements, such as saying that it can go no bigger than 255 characters. It'll have a unique ID anytime something's generated. This has to be a string, whatever you put into it, or a Boolean or something. So basically you're generating everything that needs to go into that data. And then we learned about seeds, which helps you test that data. It helps you create fake data or something that'll go in there so that you can test it better. Essentially, what they taught us was how to build a server, how to make it go live, and then how to get data and put data into that server and maintain an actual database. Even though it doesn't sound like a lot, it's pretty magical stuff, especially when you're working on your own project. It's very liberating to be able to not have to go into the internet and find some pre-made stuff or something, just to be able to make your own API and get your own information and put whatever information you want in there. You can have like 200 articles or 200 users or whatever, and then populate your entire website just off of that, which is pretty awesome. So what I recommend that you guys would look into prior to starting the back end is just getting used to Node with Express. Honestly, it doesn't take a lot to get used to it, but understanding it without somebody telling you what to do or whatever can get a little bit complex, especially when you're mixing in Next. Once you get the hang of Next, it's so easy to understand that you'll just love it. That's it, guys. If you have any questions or comments or whatever, feel free to just put them on down below. Don't forget to share and like the video, and I also have some links down below that you guys can check out. Some of them are really good friends of mine that put up some pretty great content. Also, I try to put down some other links to resources towards materials that I've used and things like that, so that you guys can get kind of the similar things that help me out. I also have a GoFundMe page down there, so if you guys want to help me out with the channel, you know, if not, then that's cool. I'm still gonna put out this content every week, or try to every week. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
They know the bait was suicide. Too deep when I ride. Ruby getting out for the pills that